What kind of people will you never understand? People who visit beautiful trails, parks, or beaches and leave their litter everywhere. People who take other people's food out of a workplace fridge. Decades of bottled-up rage on tap for the person that needs a name on food that isn't theirs to know it's not theirs. People who are mean to service, retail workers for no reason. As a retail worker, I am consistently shocked at how nasty and confrontational people are over the most trivial stuff, or they take their terrible days out on me. It's like they forget I'm a person also. People who make insane messes in public restrooms. I did custodial in a university building for a semester, and let me tell you, I saw some shit. There were some people that had very bad days in some of those bathrooms. How it can spray the stall. I've never had diarrhea of that magnitude. But some people have apparently had some struggles beyond what I thought was gastrically possible. People who abandon their dog at the side of the road when they're tired of it or want to get to vacation without it. People who keep having kids when they can't look after the ones they have. People who tie their whole identity to a team or even a political party. Abusive people who take joy in making other people miserable. People who, even after you prove them wrong with facts, still keep on arguing trying to prove that they're right. Arrogant ass people. I will never understand people who are intentionally cruel or unkind to others. Whether it's bullying, manipulation, or just plain rudeness, I can't wrap my head around why someone would choose to hurt others. Empathy and kindness cost nothing, and I'll always be baffled by those who seem to lack them. People with no curiosity or desire to learn things. What do you do with your brain? Makes no sense. There are so many people who will wonder about something and not look it up and learn more. How do they do that? If I'm curious, I want to figure out everything about the subject. I miss a call by a second. Call that person right back, and they don't answer. I will never understand that. Being rude to special needs. People, mainly adults, stare at my Asperger's son because he is a toe walker. I feel like smacking them silly because now he will hardly leave the house because of how adults have treated him. A few years ago, two adult men in a car at a light made fun of him. Honestly, they were lucky the light changed before I made it over there. Who calls a kid the R word among other things and thinks that sh*t is funny? It's cruel. People who drive with kids on their lap. Like WTH is wrong with you. Did not know people do this. My dad did this with me once. He was going from my grandparents' house to his house. They lived on the same street, 5 houses apart. It would have taken him longer to put me in the car seat than the actual drive. Well, the brother of the neighbor who lived 2 houses away is a cop and happened to be visiting and was walking out to his car as my dad drove by. People who reinforce the failings of society by saying, "That's just the way it is." People who defend war are like this. There has always been war, and as long as there are humans, there always will be. Real smart attitude to take towards a species that has developed the capacity to annihilate the whole world. Why hope or work for the emotional, intellectual, political betterment of our species when the simpler alternative is to continue living out the worst impulses of our primitive past and drag the planet into ecological and ethical crisis? Parents who choose favorites among their children and grandchildren then make it crystal clear who their favorites are. People that make a big fuss over things that don't affect their lives. This can be on both large, people's gender, sexually, religion, but can also be small things. I know so many people who get bent out of shape at such little things, what people wear, how often a neighbor gets deliveries, what people post on social media, new slang, and so much more. If it's not hurting anyone, why do you care? People who make their cars insanely loud for no reason and ruin everybody else's peace and quiet. You can be a car enthusiast and not be a giant asshole. Or the really loud Holly motorcycles. We have some neighbors who insist on blasting the radio on theirs in addition to the loud roaring noise. Have some respect for your neighbors who are trying to sleep. People who actively, purposely misunderstand or believe their truth is the only truth. People who say, "I don't need to read, learn anything else." People who drag friends, family members down when one of them is starting to get ahead or improve themselves. Rubberneckers who slow way down to look when driving by an accident. Billionaires who actively make the world a worse place because they can never have enough. Pranksters? It's not funny, they're just annoying and often take it to the point of bullying. People who think Android users don't have iPhones because they're poor. People who constantly ask for help, but every time you provide a solution they tell you why they can't do it, and they'll always have whatever problem they have at the moment. It's usually because the solution involves them changing or taking action instead of someone giving them a handout, but I'll just never understand it. The sociopaths that hunt endangered animals, then mount their heads on walls in their homes. It's not the 1800s anymore, and it's VV disgusting. People who don't support universal health care in the US. The why should I pay for someone else's health care attitude doesn't make any sense. Because at this point, removing the insane costs around health care would benefit even those who have good private insurance and have worked hard to get where I am now, or whatever. There are many circumstances where the current system would mean they, too, go broke. But no, I'm willing to risk paying $50,000 for my own 3-day hospital stay just so I don't have to pay a much smaller amount of money regularly for something that benefits me as much as it benefits others. It makes absolutely no damn sense. Christian nationalists. They seriously make my blood run cold. Think Inquisition and witch trials. They don't have limits. People who enable abusers because it's not their business, or whatever rationalization they come up with to turn a blind eye. They're worse than the damn abusers because without them, abuse has much less chance of going unnoticed. Silence is violence. People who are racist. Like, how does one think they're better than a whole group of people because of the color of their skin? It makes zero sense to me. We all bleed red, and the fact that there's these as backwards people who think being white is a flex is freaking ridiculous. People who gamble excessively. I understand the addiction aspect to it, I just don't understand how it feels good. Once in a blue moon I treat myself to a lottery ticket and I feel a tinge of guilt spending that $45 knowing it's probably gone forever. I couldn't imagine losing tens of thousands and then going back for more. People who don't treat their pets as part of their family. Literally just got verbally assaulted by some people who thought me caring for my cats like they're my own children was cringe. To me, it's cringe not to. Why adopt an animal otherwise? People that tattoo another person's name on themselves. Tattoos last longer than the vast majority of relationships. People who walk super slow through a grocery store or stop in the aisle with no regard for anyone else trying to pass through. People who post several times a day about everything. Their outfit, their meal, their pet, their curtains, their carpet, their car. All day, every day. All pictures of every mundane thing. People who work so much that they can't even name one thing they do in their free time. Yet they are married with kids. I can never wrap my head around people who don't get excited about anything. Like, how do you not have a single passion or hobby? It's mind-boggling. People who absolutely refuse to acknowledge their own problems. I literally go crazy over people who play victim all the time. People who don't pick up after their dog. Like, don't you want to live in a clean community? Also people who litter. I just don't understand it. Flat earthers. Radical right-wing or militant left-wingers. Montreal Canadiens fans. People who make every molehill a mountain online. Anti-vaxxers. I'm not talking about some of the new vaccines and the engineering behind them, which is pretty technically amazing. No, I'm talking about the idiots that are anti-all vaccines, like polio, measles, mumps, rubella, etc. The history and science is pretty clear on these that the benefits far outweigh the risks. They actually are gambling with their children's lives and just don't see it. People that hate someone because they are gay. I just do not get it. I grew up at a time when this hate was even more prevalent and did not understand it then either. I just do not get why. I'll never understand how some people stick up for child abusers. One case I was reading about last night was a woman who pled guilty of child sex abuse as a counselor, and 2 of her former professors wrote statements singing her praises and begging for mercy. WTF? Also, the people who stuck up for that coach at Penn State. I can't wrap my mind around this, and it's really been bothering me. What is broken in their brains? People who are pro-censorship. If they're the ones who are being censored, they're quick to yell fascist or tyrant. because they are being silenced, but if it's other people who are being silenced, they immediately forget the consequences of censorship and fully support it. Don't they understand that if there's an effective mechanism for censorship, then it's only a matter of time before they are the ones who end up getting censored? This is why I'll never understand these pro-censorship people. People who don't know how to be normal in airports. If your Group 8 and Group 1 is boarding, standing near the gate will not help you board faster. If anything, it causes congestion. And standing right at the belt to get your luggage. I've had to push people out of the way to grab my shit off the belt because every place on the carousel was jammed. I have several friends I will never travel with again because they were just feral in airports. It's 2020 for yes, you have to take your shoes off. No, you can't take drinks. I swear everyone loses 12 IQ points the second they step in an airport. People who park in handicapped spaces that have no disability. I'm blessed to be able to walk on my own 2 feet with no back issues or neurological disorders. I don't ever want to need to park there. So why would I take that from someone who truly needs it? People who call for almost everything instead of texting, I'd understand if it's an emergency, but if it isn't, then you can just text or send a voice message. I don't understand the hardcore MAGA and Canaan folks. It doesn't make sense to tie your entire identity to something so made up. They want to make United States into some Sharia law-type state ran by religion, but then are so gaslighted into thinking that's what they are opposing and fighting against. It's mind-bending how easily these people are drawn into these crazy ideas. I feel like some of the left is also in their own la la land with blinders on too, but the right is just really out there. People who smoke with children in the car or house. Cigarettes, and especially marijuana. Seen the latter many times with a parent hotboxing a vehicle with babies inside. And that's all. Thanks for watching. Like if you liked it. See you soon.